Prologue. There is a saying in the Ferreo kingdom: a phoenix is born only when the sky turns red. The descendant phoenix will take the newborn as his disciple until one day, from the ashes of the old monarch, the ascendant phoenix will rise and reign with wisdom. Thomas stood in front of the mirror for only a moment, staring at his old face. His formerly black hair had turned grey long ago, and his brown eyes didn't look quite as alive as when he was young. The right side of his face was burned, as were his torso and his right arm. He had burned himself long ago. He was a fire priest, after all. He had proven the depth of his devotion to the incandescent, the god of fire. His appearance would have caused revulsion in any other kingdom, but not in the fire kingdom, Firia. In this kingdom, every citizen looked upon any priest of fire with utter respect, for their charred skin symbolized how much the priests worshipped their deity. The streets were empty, too early for merchants and too late for night owls. The fire priest took such emptiness as a source of relief, because although the ceremony he would soon attend had become routine, it was celebrated with all of the rigour that such an act deserved. He walked as fast as he could, the sound of his staff echoing on the house walls. Red sky, a phenomenon that occurred annually, was in the eyes of the people of the Kingdom of Fire the call from their god to all those born since the last ceremony. The rare event was of great importance, for one of those neonates could become the ascendant phoenix, and therefore the future king. The event was led by a priest who carried out the test on each neonate, while 2 soldiers guarded them. The Kingdom of Fire possessed a weapon that represented their god, Distra and Sinistra, the twin swords of fire. Not only did the weapons possess inconceivable power, they were also the weapons that chose the heir to the throne. Every citizen of the kingdom had been subjected to the test of fire, a cut in the palm by one of the 2 sacred swords. As the book said, the one who did not bleed would be the one chosen by the god of fire, the incandescent, and therefore would replace, upon reaching the full age, the present king. The fire god was capricious. Much time had passed since Vulcan, the phoenix and therefore current ruler of the Fire Kingdom, had been chosen. The priest's eyes contemplated the greatness of the palace, a monument made of grey, almost black stone. A huge wooden gate plated in metal was guarded by 2 palace guards covered in coal-black armour, armed with spears and shields, decorated with 2 crossed swords and a flaming phoenix in the background, the emblem of the kingdom. Approaching the door, the priest found himself stopped by the guards, although they knew the reason for his visit. The more experienced guard began to speak. "Tell me, old priest Thomas." A mocking tone was easily noticeable in his voice. "What brings you here at such an early hour?" "You know why I'm here, old tramp," Thomas said with a frown, while pointing at him with his cane. He was a man whose devotion was surpassed only by his temperament. "And you'd better not waste a second more of my time, if you don't want to enrage the incandescent." A shiver crossed the backs of both soldiers. The idea of provoking the anger of the god of fire clearly frightened them. Staring at the priest's burned flesh as if his charred skin reminded them whose side their god would be on, the soldiers gave the order to open the gate. Behind the door, a single palace servant carrying a candle awaited Thomas, and after carelessly bowing to the priest, he signalled for the priest to follow him. The servant guided Thomas through the different passages of the palace, all unadorned. The king faithfully reflected the simplicity of the people he represented, one of the many characteristics of the Ferreos, along with their bad temper and passion for combat. Thomas ran his hand over the thick walls of the palace. The black stone released a certain comforting warmth. To Vulcan's right lay the throne of his young wife. The throne was empty due to the early timing of the event. To his left, a display case with gold borders was sealed with several locks. On either side of the display case, 2 guards lay prostrate. These were members of the king's guard, known as the Sons of the Flame. Thomas bowed to the king, but he was unable to avoid fixing his eyes on the display case. Behind the glass lay the famous twin swords of fire, those weapons whose verdict could anoint new kings and queens and defend their kingdom with unparalleled power. No matter how many years Thomas had been performing the ritual, he still looked with admiration at the case in which the 2 sacred swords rested.